Well, hello, and welcome to Opal City Confidential, a Starman podcast. I'm Ross Aiken, your host, and we're going to be talking about Adventure Comics 72, starring Ted Knight, Starman, and Starman Volume 2, number 15, Jack. But the main character's not Jack this time. He's not even in the issue. He's in some parts of the issue, but the issue is about the second Starman. Yes, he would. Yeah, second Starman, the Disco Starman, Michael Thomas. So excited to talk about. But we're going to start with the Adventure Comics 72 this week. This comic was published in January 27th, 1942. It's cover dated, let me look. Whoops, sorry. March of 1942. A wonderful Jack Burnley cover, which has Starman breaking through a glass screen. Someone is using a futuristic device on somebody's strapped to a table, and the bad guy's an ethnic minority without a shirt and goggles. And it's kind of, we'll talk about what it is. This issue has been reprinted twice in the Golden Age Starman Archives Volume 1, which is what I use, and the Sandman by Joe Sir. The Sandman part of this has been reprinted in a collection. This name of this story is called The Case of the Magic Bloodstones. It's 13 pages. Writer Gardner Fox, woohoo. Penciler Jack Burnley, signed, woohoo. Inks Jack Burnley, signed, woohoo. With some background, backgrounds inked by Ray Burnley, his brother. Then colors Raymond Perry, letters Betty Bentley. I think all of them, except for Gardner, worked for Jack in his studio, if I remember my history about this. The Starman is the main character, but also Woodley Allen, Doris Lee, Archibald Dalton, Smithers, Death, Laurie Dalton, Arab Avenger, for his villain introduction, the Dervishes of Death. The synopsis is Starman becomes involved in a case involving the mysterious deaths of several members of an expedition to the Arabian desert who had taken the accursed bloodstone from an ancient temple. Okay, it sounds like The Mummy in a way. I like this comic. As I do all of these, I'm enjoying them. This one has some stuff in it that's a little sketchy nowadays. Okay, the bad guy's an Arab guy, and he's in a glow-in-the-dark costume. It's like a Scooby-Doo villain. And he comes and he basically scares everybody to death. But Ted is on the mission. You know, he takes Doris Lee to this mansion by the Dalton family where they got a creepy butler, the Phantom Arab, he calls him. Good God. And Mr. Dalton is attacked, and so is his niece. And then by a guy called the Dervish of Death, another villain in here is a guy in a turban. And I don't know if that would be, I guess that would be Dervish-ish. That would be Turkey, Mediterranean. I don't know. That's something I don't know. But there's some great action. Starman gets into a fight. He battles a bunch of bad guys dressed in ethnic garb. And then he finds Miss Dalton and Doris held by the bad guy. And the bad guy traps Ted in a cage, a room with a tiger and a bear. Because that's what you do. Why don't you just shoot him? No, I think I will just kill all my enemies who sneak into my lair with a tiger and a bear. Kill them in my lair. It's really cheesy. He jumps over them. He grabs the tiger by the tail, literally, and swings him. And he says this, "Hold that, tiger, and I'd better not let go." And he slams the tiger like a club into the bear, knocking them both unconscious. It is silly. And then he climbs up the ladder and he fights the bad guy, the Arab Avenger, while Doris Lee escapes. He flies to save her, and the Arab is about to shoot Miss Dalton in front of her father. Starman saves Doris Lee and hands her to her uncle. And the Arab has finally found the safe. He opens the combination. A lethal gas comes out and kills him. So that was Alan's little surprise. When the combination is dialed, a gas bomb in the safe automatically explodes unless a switch known only to Dalton is shut off first. This fellow isn't hurt, just knocked out. But I'll wipe this green grease paint off his face and see what he looks like. What? A false beard too? There Green is really Frisbee, our butler. Actually, folks, the butler did it. Okay, that comic was. It wasn't like there. It was somewhat racially sensitive because it dealt on stereotypes, but it was a Scooby-Doo villain. So you knew it was somebody dressed up, and the butler was probably just a horribly racist butler named Frisbee. It is the weakest of any of the stories I've read, but it was funny in a lot of ways. Like, I could see a 6-year-old kid loving that. Hey, he clubbed the bear with a tiger. It's, it is what it is. But it was a little silly, and it was nice. It was a nice little read today. I'm off today, folks, from work, so I'm recording and doing some chores, trying to stay sane without working 20-some straight days. Now on to Starman Volume 2, number 15. Oh, sorry, it was Sins of the Child, Part 4. Oh, that's right. It was published on December 7th, 1995, and cover dated January 1996. Has a wonderful Tony Harris cover. It is now my avatar on Twitter because it is probably my favorite cover right now. I would love to have a poster of that. Just that. Michael Thomas means a lot to me in this version. To be honest, I've never read all of Robinson's Justice League. That will come up sometime probably in this series. I think I will save it for here, and I just don't know where to fit it in. But I'm going to throw that in that. And so maybe some Congarilla. But it's great pencils, inks, and colors by Tony Harris. It's like a rainbow is he's screaming. It's like a bust of him, and it's energy popping out of the gem on his chest. This comic's been reprinted 3 times. Once in the 1997 trade, Starman Volume Number 2, Night and Day, and Starman Omnibus Hardcover Number 1, 2008, which I'm reading it in, and Starman Omnibus 2012 Number 1 Softcover came out in 2012. Writer James Harris, of course. Pencils Tony Harris, of course. Inks Wayne Von Graubaja. Ted McKeever on colors and Bill Oakley on letters. Characters are Michael Thomas, Solomon Grundy, Jack Knight, and Ted Knight. But this is really Michael's story. Synopsis: Michael and Solomon Grundy are kidnapped by Shade's men. Which is messed up. But this is a lot going on. But let's get started on this. Let's get through one. Again, the Sins of the Father stuff I love, I'm going to probably say this as I go arc to arc. This is such a great arc. Such a great arc. But it is. It is such a great arc. It starts like it did all the others, and I'm going to kind of read through this again. It's a good day, at least as it starts. Glow, warm, cold snap still, birds swing high, soothe. Indeed, a good day at 8:44 a.m. as Michael Thomas ponders now and then, and whatever came between and before, when everything seems jelly bear opera and crepe paper pirate, at least for now it does. Of course you know that at 12 o'clock it's all gonna change. Michael, I'm leaving. Will you be alright alone? That's Ted talking to him, and Michael just waves. If this takes place before they go to court, Solomon Grundy comes out at 9:23. They move under the tree at 10:44. The guys are back by 11:08. They say hi. And they're just hanging out. Then we cut to murder. We cut to some roses, and there's blood dripping on them, and we see that the roses are on a balcony in a apartment building or condo or whatever. And we see Murder 5, Wilson May, artist, renowned, beloved, exhibited in museums throughout the world, and now dead. In the frantic search that follows this, again Nash is unsuccessful. It is 4:17 p.m. And then we cut to this 2-page spread where it's basically black panels and then blurred, panels, where these 2 henchmen are kicking the shit out of Grundy, and we're seeing it from Michael's point of view. And on the second page, this one of the baddies wakes up Michael, and we see they're in this fancy Art Deco apartment in a high-rise in Opal City. And we get some backstory that that this guy, the guy that works for, these are all the Shades goons, and this one guy that is beating on him, you find out that his father was a supervillain that called No Mercy in Opal City in the 70s, and Mikaal put him in jail. And he's describing how he is torturing his friend Solomon Grundy. And then it's basically their torture, and we get, he goes in and out of consciousness, and there's conversations about different pop culture shit. Okay, I'm gonna just put it that way. Cool, where Robinson is trying to be cool with his knowledge of, like, and it's like when I talk to my brother about film noir. My brother is like James Robinson, Raymond Chandler this, Raymond Chandler that, and I don't mind, because every time he's shown me or given me something to read about, it's been outstanding. But this is a fan going off while torturing some poor bastard on a conversation they had between the bad guys about different gangsters. And it starts with that this apartment is one of Miss Hideout's all hideaways, top floor of the Chandler building. But it puts me in mind of something, what I love, the dialogue that gets thrown around in a Raymond Chandler mystery when old Marlowe is getting knocked about. He isn't quiet like you know. They hit him, the crooks bent, cops, whoever. They hit him, and Marlowe would come back with some reply, terse, pithy, and pick the objective as funny as hell. Are you a movie buff, by the way? You never talk to anybody. Who the best screen Marlowe is? Man, things get passionate really quick. Of course, everybody immediately says it's Bogart, The Big Sleep, classic flick, sure. But if you ask them, they'll read any Chandler, and the same people will say no. Those that have often said Dick Powell, The Murder My Sweet book was Farewell My Lovely, of course. He isn't a great character, but he has a weary grace to his performance with that character. Bogey's great, and he just keeps on. Robert Montgomery, and then George Montgomery in one, which I'd never heard of. And he gets to the one, Elliot Gould played Marlowe in a 70s. I don't know if it's an Altman movie. It may be. I love it, but it is the weirdest Marlowe, seeing Marlowe in 70s LA. And it just goes on for pages, and you just get an idea that Mikaal has enemies. Mikaal has a past. He doesn't remember it, but he has a past as Opal's defender. And you get to see it in this, these guys are just goons, and they think they're going to kill Mike. They think they're about to kill Grundy and chop him up in front of Mikaal, and Mikaal just starts and it's this great 2-page spread. There's 8 panels on each page, two columns of 2 on each page, and it shows them deciding, not the big goon, but the other goons, are they gonna burn Grundy, or are they gonna chop him up into pieces? While they're playing this little game about who can get to him first, Mikaal screams in his own language. An energy burst comes out of his chest, and the top of the Chandler building is fucking gone. And that's the explosion we've been seeing on and off through the other chapters. I loved it. It doesn't move the story along, not really. Does it move Mikaal's story along? It builds on that character. This guy who has enemies, but he is a hero. He will fight for his friend. It's that middle scene in a big movie. I don't know. I really liked it, because we're going to get back to Jack. Next is Jack. And it's just well worth it to have that scene in it. It's beautifully drawn. The panel layouts, folks, go. If you don't have the book, go on the app. I would recommend get the compendiums, get both of them. You'll have all the stuff. Read it, love it. Get it built into a great ending. And there's good stuff coming. We got a Times Pass, and it's talking to David back to back, so that's going to be a really long episode with me and David. Hopefully we'll be out in this month. I had said before I'm going to take a pause. I have been forced to take days off in the middle of the week by my boss, because she's a smart person, and I would have just worked to cover gaps. So today is recording day, where I can read comics over the time during work, on busy work days, and I may not record. And then today I may record this episode and then the Legion, or next Saturdays, because I'm just animated. I'm rested. Well, kind of rested. I'm still on call, and I can read comics. And reading Starman, man, always makes you feel better. Comics are mental health medicine, man. It's the best antidepressant in the world. Art is the best antidepressant. Nature too. Just find beauty or joy in something. and release some of that out of you. But this is great. We're getting up to the end. There's part 5, and it's worth it. It's a great story. I may go back and read the whole thing in 2 weeks, straight through, just because it's good, and just a refreshment so I can do an overview. All right, folks. As always, be safe, be smart, be kind to one another, please, and read some comics. Oh, read Invincible. I just finished Compendium Volume 2. I only have 1.5 compendiums to go. Joy, joy.